Today we're shooting the scene where Marie-Antoinette is arriving in Versailles, and she's welcomed by the Prime Minister Choiseul and by Mercy, the ambassador.
She arrives to all the faces of all the terrifying courtiers at Versailles, and Louis, who I'm playing, is hiding up in his little room up there, terrified to meet her, watching her through a telescope.
To me, it was absolutely surreal and brilliant to have this first day of production at Versailles. It was very, very surreal, just like for real Marie-Antoinette. It must have been overwhelming, so it was overwhelming for me too. And it was definitely, for me, it was the beginning of a journey into a different universe.
I got to watch this incredible moment and this iconic moment of Marie-Antoinette's arrival at Versailles from above, and I got to see these silhouettes on the incredible marble courtyard. It was something I will never forget, and a mixture of joy, confusion, and just awe, I think.
It's done from her point of view, so the camera's with her when she's in the carriage looking out. When she nervously steps out, we're with her. When all the eyes are staring at her, we're seeing it the way she sees it. All the scene was shot and composed from her point of view.
So, looking to You mean on the balcony? Yeah, okay. Good. She sees Louis up there, but she doesn't know it's Louis. And the interesting thing is that Louis is not waiting for her the moment she comes out of the carriage.
As a shy 15-year-old boy, he's hiding upstairs in his library and spying on her from a window way up above. I think for Louis, what he feels in this moment is a combination of actually anger, a bit of sorrow, and also this kind of insecure excitement. And he's probably thinking, what am I about to experience for the rest of my life? So.
She feels she's being observed from everywhere, but not really welcomed. She sees this whole palace. She doesn't see the beauty of it. She experiences as something very bizarre.
Elle arrive dans cet univers baroque, étrange, pour elle, complètement farfelu, très codifié, très rigide. Et on est avec elle dans ces sensations.
I wanted to portray that scene of how, almost like Alice in Wonderland, she was this tiny miniature figure and these huge horses looming over her and these men in black as she more or less entered her prison. And she would not leave that gilded prison until she was taken to Paris and imprisoned there.
So it's a very, very, very hard moment for her, and she's overwhelmed and lost.
Welcome to Versailles, Dauphine.
What I wanted to do, it was very important for me in our first season, is not to look at her from the wrong end of the telescope. We know how she ended, but she certainly didn't know how she was going to end, and no one could have predicted the French Revolution. So I think we must see her for who she was and how she behaved during that period without feeling that the French Revolution is coming down the road.
Elle nous donne vraiment accès à sa vision de Marie-Antoinette. Quelle femme elle imagine être Marie-Antoinette. Et c'est ça le plus saisissant.
Sa première approche du personnage, c'est je vais être dans la tête de Marie-Antoinette. Je vais l'accompagner, je vais souffler avec elle, je vais respirer avec elle, voilà.
All of the series is shot with a handheld camera, 2 handheld cameras. That's designed to give everything a level of intimacy and veracity that you don't normally get. So it meant the actors were completely free. They could go wherever they want and the camera could follow them everywhere. So all of the time, the camera's going into a room with people, following them into a room, walking around the room with them. The camera's intimate and mobile. Everything that happened in the series is seen from Marie-Antoinette's point of view.
It's really in her head, and the camera follows a little bit of Marie-Antoinette's point of view. It's something that Deborah's done quite a bit in the series. They're almost like dreams.
Elle voit ça à travers ses yeux et parfois c'est un peu accentué. Les maquillages sont poussés sur certains personnages.
Normally, you would, think it was like a fairy tale. This princess, this empress coming from Austria, marrying this guy from France and just going to be the queen of France. But no, it was nothing like that.
What is this place? Is this my life now? Trapped, where I can trust no one, not even you.
I was very pleased to read it because, especially episode 1, it really reads like a nightmare.
Deborah wrote a story where Versailles is the most extraordinary, beautiful place you've ever seen. But for Marie-Antoinette, it was a prison that was something she wanted to escape from. So once you have that as part of the story, then you want to look at that world in a completely different way. The series starts with her waking up in a room where she can't remember where she is. She feels trapped, she can't remember exactly why she's there, and she doesn't want to be there. What we don't know at the beginning of the episode is where she is and why she feels like that. That's the key, is that everything is shot from her point of view. So then you shoot her running down the Hall of Mirrors in a slightly hallucinogenic way, with the camera really close to her, and running handheld in slow motion. So she runs away to one of the most beautiful places in the world, probably, the Hall of Mirrors, and is dragged kicking and screaming by some guards back to it. Now we don't know why that is. So it was very clear to us that if you see that as a dream, it means it didn't really happen. It did happen. We've just played with the story structure, and we've played with time. So we're showing you something that you haven't seen yet. You see a story at the beginning of episode 1, and you don't quite know what it means. So it seems like it might be a dream. It turns out not to be a dream, because the truth is even more scary than any dream could ever be.
Just do your duty, French. You won't let me down.
Il y a aussi tout le travail sur la voix off, parce que c'est ponctué cette première saison d'une correspondance avec sa mère, Marie-Thérèse. Donc il y a cette voix off qui est un peu entêtante et qui parfois résonne en Marie-Antoinette.
Never forget that you are an Austrian archduchess.
The story starts with Marie-Antoinette being forced to do something by her mother.
Toinette! Think of your duty to me, Toinette. Your duty to Austria.
Marie-Antoinette came from a matriarchy, so her mother was an extremely strong ruler. She was meant to co-rule first with her husband and second with Joseph, her son, after her husband died. But Marie-Thérèse, as empress, wouldn't have anyone standing in her way.
When do I get to make a decision around here?
Not until I'm dead.
So she ruled as an all-powerful empress, and her influence was felt by all her children. All her children had to go off and perform their duty in this political agenda.
You know what Ma would say? Failure is not an option. Heirs and their domination are what we Habsburgs do.
In the first season, she arrives as a political pawn in alliance between the Habsburgs and the French, and her marriage will seal that alliance.
The fate of millions of people rests on your slim shoulders, Toinette.
To sleep with Louis, the boy, and have an heir, that's the deal. And if she doesn't do that, then the deal's going to be blown apart.
So that voice, in terms of pleasing her mother, that's important. But at the same time, that voice is haunting her.
Habsburgs never take no for an answer.
One time, her mother's her mum and looking after her, but at the same time, her mum's a bit like her jailer. So that voice is both inspiring her and haunting her and trapping her. And I think that was Deborah's idea in the script, that she always had that sense of how to keep that relationship alive, how to keep that sense that your mum can be your inspiration but also sometimes your living nightmare.
I fear I may not live to see the event that will seal our alliance.
Give me a break, Mark. Can't you see? We're trying.